His lawyer leaned over and whispered something to him. Just a few words. Whatever it was, it drained the color from my husband's face. His confident smile vanished. His hands started shaking. The same hands that had signed the divorce papers 5 minutes earlier. The papers that gave him everything. The house, the business, the cars, and every single debt tied to them. That was the moment he realized winning the divorce was the worst mistake of his life. My name is Alexis Dunst. I'm 34 years old, and until recently, I was married to Vincent Mercer. 15 years. That's how long I helped build his life, his business, his image, his confidence, his reputation. I was there before the first client, before the first contract, before anyone believed his name meant anything at all. From the outside, we looked perfect. A quiet street with trimmed hedges, a house people slowed down to admire. Luxury cars parked like trophies in the driveway. Industry dinners where his hand rested lightly on my back, just enough to look supportive, not enough to acknowledge me. People used the word lucky when they talked about me. They said I had made it. They said I had married well. What they didn't see was the scaffolding. The late nights balancing books while he slept, the calls I answered so his name stayed clean, the risks I absorbed so his never showed. I wasn't his partner. I was his infrastructure, the quiet system underneath everything that worked. And when Vincent decided he didn't need me anymore, when he decided I was replaceable, he believed he could take everything we built and walk away untouched. No consequences, no cost. He was wrong. Very wrong. I met Vincent when I was 17. I was working at a law firm then. Minimum wage, maximum responsibility. I filed motions, tracked deadlines, caught mistakes before partners ever saw them. By the time we married, I understood contracts, cash flow, liability, and timing. Skills I didn't know would quietly save my future later. When Vincent's real estate business finally started gaining traction, he asked me to quit my job. I need someone I can trust, he said. So I did. I became the person behind everything. I ran the books, coordinated closings, scheduled inspections, handled clients when deals went sideways, fixed problems before they reached his desk. I wasn't on the website, my name wasn't on the signage, but I was in every decision that mattered. For more than a decade, I managed the numbers while Vincent collected the applause. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, he started believing the success was his alone. Not ours, his. Then came the divorce. No counseling, no conversation, no warning. Just a kitchen table, a legal envelope, and one sentence delivered with emotion. I want everything. He said it the way someone orders coffee, casual, certain. Then he added, "You can keep our son." That was the moment I understood. This wasn't about separation. It wasn't about starting over. This was about erasing me, from the business, from the story, from the credit. And Vincent believed the law would help him do it.
What Vincent didn't know was that 3 years earlier, I'd seen the first crack. It was a transfer I didn't recognize, small enough to dismiss, too neat to be accidental. Then there was another, and another. Different accounts, different explanations, but the same direction. So I stopped asking questions and started tracing numbers. Night after night, long after Vincent fell asleep, I followed the money through shell accounts, rolling credit lines, delayed payments disguised as growth. What I found wasn't success. It was camouflage. The house everyone admired, 3 mortgages stacked on top of each other. The business everyone praised, drowning in short-term loans, operating on extensions, refinancing debt as if it were profit. Taxes quietly overdue, lines of credit maxed to the edge, equipment leases recorded like assets because the truth would have been embarrassing. We weren't wealthy. We were underwater. Nearly $2 million in combined personal and business debt. Vincent wasn't building an empire. He was stacking borrowed bricks and praying no one ever checked the foundation. So I didn't confront him. Men like Vincent don't confess. They rewrite reality. Instead, I prepared. I protected what was legally mine,
my inheritance, my retirement account. I placed them into an irrevocable trust, not for myself, but for our son. Carefully, quietly, by the book. Then I waited. Because men like Vincent always leave, and when they do, they don't walk away. They demand everything, especially what they never truly earned. When the divorce negotiations began, everyone assumed I'd already lost. I didn't fight. I didn't posture. I didn't argue numbers. I asked for almost nothing. $50,000, my personal belongings, shared custody of our son. That was it. Vincent accepted immediately. Too quickly. He smiled the way men do when they believe the battle is over before it starts. He thought I was exhausted, defeated, desperate to escape. What he didn't read was the liability disclosure, the page attached at the back, written in plain language, filed exactly where it was supposed to be. Every asset he demanded came bundled with its debt. The houses, the business entities, the vehicles, the leases dressed up as investments. When Vincent signed for everything, he didn't just claim ownership. He assumed responsibility. Every mortgage, every loan, every outstanding obligation. His attorney tried to slow him down, suggested a review, asked for time. Vincent waved it off. I know my business, he said. And that was the moment the trap closed, because confidence doesn't cancel arithmetic. A week later, we walked into court, and for the first time, Vincent was holding the weight alone.
It didn't happen all at once. Collapse never does. The first missed payment came quietly, a notice Vincent assumed he could negotiate away. Then a second, then a third. Banks stopped returning calls, lenders tightened terms, credit lines froze. The properties he demanded, once symbols of success, became liabilities overnight. Adjustable rates reset, balloon payments came due, insurance premiums spiked the moment his risk profile changed. The business followed. Vendors shortened payment windows, clients delayed deposits, partners began asking questions Vincent couldn't answer without admitting the truth. Audits were triggered, then penalties, then enforcement. The illusion that had carried him for years, confidence, charm, reputation, couldn't refinance math. Within 6 months, the numbers told a story he couldn't interrupt. Foreclosure notices arrived in pairs, tax liens followed, personal guarantees, once harmless signatures, became demands with deadlines. Vincent tried to renegotiate, then restructure, then threatened legal action. But debt doesn't negotiate with ego. By the time he understood what he'd signed for in that courtroom, it was already irreversible. The empire he thought he'd protected by taking everything collapsed because he took all of it. And I watched from a distance. Not with satisfaction, not with anger, just clarity. Because this wasn't revenge, it was arithmetic catching up. The judge reviewed the documents in silence, page after page. No expression, no commentary. Vincent smiled. The quiet kind, the one men wear when they believe they've already won. Then his attorney leaned in, whispered. Not long, not loud, just enough. That's when Vincent's posture changed. The smile froze. His shoulders stiffened. His eyes dropped back to the paperwork, this time actually reading. The numbers didn't add up, because they weren't supposed to. The properties he demanded, carrying more debt than value. The business entities he'd insisted on owning, operating at a deficit. What he thought were assets, were liabilities in disguise. The judge finally looked up. You assumed all liabilities voluntarily, she said evenly. Vincent stood. Too fast. This isn't fair, he blurted. The room went still. The judge didn't flinch. You were advised, she replied. You declined review. The agreement stands. She paused once, just long enough for it to register. Then the gavel came down. One strike. Final. Done.
When the gavel fell, it wasn't relief I felt. It was certainty. Because the outcome I cared about had already been secured, long before we ever entered that courtroom. My son never sat through negotiations, never heard arguments, never saw paperwork. He didn't need to. Everything meant for him had already been protected. The trust was sealed, court recognized, untouchable. No business debt could reach it, no marital liability could pierce it. No poor decision made by his father could follow him into adulthood. While Vincent fought to keep what he thought he owned, I made sure our child would never inherit chaos. His education was funded, his future housing accounted for, medical care guaranteed. Not through promises, through structure. I didn't take from Vincent. I insulated my son. That distinction matters, because this wasn't about punishment. It was about boundaries. Children shouldn't pay for adult pride. They shouldn't carry debt they didn't create. They shouldn't grow up watching instability masquerade as success. That's the lesson I'll teach him. Not how to win, but how to protect. How to read fine print. How to listen when someone says, slow down. How to choose responsibility over applause. Vincent lost control that day. My son gained security. And that's the only outcome that mattered. Within weeks, the girlfriend disappeared. Silence where certainty used to be. The house went up for sale, then quietly came down again. Too much debt, too little equity. The business followed. Accounts frozen, credit revoked. Partnerships dissolved the moment guarantees were called in. Confidence couldn't refinance numbers. Reputation couldn't negotiate liens. Debt doesn't care how convincing you sound. Vincent called. Once. Then again. Messages turned from irritation to panic. I didn't answer. Not out of cruelty. Out of clarity. Because I didn't destroy him. I didn't expose him. I didn't take anything that wasn't legally mine. I simply stepped aside and let the truth do its job. And it did. People like to call stories like this revenge. It isn't. Revenge requires anger. This required patience. I didn't win by taking something from Vincent. I won by seeing clearly while he refused to. I read what he ignored. I prepared where he performed. I protected what mattered while he chased what impressed. There's a difference between power and noise, between confidence and competence, between appearing successful and being solvent. I didn't need applause. I needed stability. I didn't need to be right out loud. I needed my son to be safe. Vincent lost because he believed charm could replace accountability, because he thought ownership meant control, and signatures didn't have weight. They do. The law remembers what people forget. Numbers don't lie, and time always reveals what ego tries to hide. My life is quieter now, smaller in appearance, stronger in structure, and my son will grow up knowing this. Real security isn't flashy. It's built slowly, legally, and with foresight. You don't protect your future by winning fights. You protect it by understanding the rules and never betting against them.